Hi, so another reading from my book Pieces, 52 Short Stories About Being Human. Today is chapter 39 called Vulnerability. And this is a special one because it's the first chapter written. And it's a chapter that came about after a process that actually grown me into the woman I am, and that allowed me to actually write a book about myself and about my inner goings and feelings and thinking and all that. I would have never been able to do that before this happened. So this is really crucial part of the book, and I know it's funny that it's kind of more towards the end. It didn't start with it, but I just felt that it really fitted in with this kind of part of the book. This part of the book, it's called Loving Me for Me, and it's about me coming to self-acceptance, self-love, and what it means to me, and how I practice it and all that in kind of short little chunks. And this is the first step. So I will read a little bit, and I just make a few comments afterwards. So I explain how I felt lonely, abandoned, no one's priority. I have never been anyone's priority, and I suppose no one has been mine. My walls made sure of that. The walls I built around my heart to protect myself from all the hurt in the world. They were effective in keeping me in, but also in keeping everyone else out. I could not see that, not until now. The 2 weeks leading up to this particular moment in time, to the breakdown in the therapy room, were rather challenging. Almost every appointment I had got cancelled. I felt deserted, crushed, scrunched up into an ugly ball that did not make it into the paper basket, and no one could be bothered to pick it up. That's it. Today's just a little snippet. If you want to know more, read more, you can get the book on Amazon in paper form or digital. But this kind of, I think, this little bit really describes how I felt in that breakthrough moment. I just was so at the bottom of things. I was actually suicidal at that point. It was after my husband died, and it's just my emotions, everything just snowballed, and it just came to a point when I felt so lonely and so abandoned, and so at the end of my tether, that something had to give. And fortunately, whatever that something was, it gave in a therapy session. And my therapist was absolutely amazing. She just did exactly the right thing that I needed in that moment. Because we're friends as well, actually she was able to give me something that was more helpful than just chatting or, hypnotherapy, NLP, whatever. She gave me a hug. And at that point, that's what I really needed. And everything just came out. And all these emotions, I cried and cried and cried in that session. But I really needed that release, and it just brought in this kind of catharsis. And she told me, like, if you don't tell people how you feel, they're not gonna know. No one mind reads, like, you need to tell people what's going on for you. And so me, I challenged myself, and literally, I think I started that day with my flatmate, who was a very good friend of mine, and I just told her lots of things about myself that I've never told her before, although we were very good friends. And I told her all the things that weren't really comfortable to talk about, and she was okay with it, and she was supportive, and she didn't challenge me, she didn't judge me. She was amazing. And so I started to do that with the people I really trusted, so with my closest circle. So I started to open up. And what I realized was that people started to open up to me in return. It's like, because I bared myself naked, so to speak, they did too. Because they felt safe, because, like, well, she showed me everything, so I can show her everything. So what really happened really deepened my relationships, the existing relationships. And because I started to apply this to new people as well, and it doesn't mean I would just blur them my life story when I meet them, but just being really honest with how I feel about things and where I am at. And not being rude, but also not overdoing it and trying to please people and trying to second guess what I might want from me in order to like me. I was just like, okay, take it or leave it. And I just presented myself as I was at that particular moment. And it's interesting that the relationship I've formed since that bit are really amazing, and we became close really quickly, and it's still happening. Now I'm a new mom and I'm in lots of new circles of other moms, and it's amazing actually how quickly I can form really genuinely trusting, lovely relationships. But that wouldn't be possible without a vulnerability. And this chapter really was written. So initially, I didn't write anything down. I was just going through this. But then someone posted something on Facebook about a woman collating stories from women, not necessarily writers, but just short stories that will be published in a book. And the book was called Chocolates and Diamonds for Woman's Soul. And I decided to take it up, and I did write a story. And because this was so raw at the time for me, that's what I wrote. I called it Vulnerability. And it, when I read it to people, shared it with people, reactions were always really positive. Some people broke into tears, but in a good way. And lots of people commented really positively, so I felt really encouraged, and it felt really good writing down and just have the clarity. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And because I was still processing lots of grief, I started to experiment with that and wrote things as I was experiencing the grief in that moment. And again, that felt really good. And so I continued it, and things just flowed, and I was getting inspiration. Oh, I've got to write about this. I would be in the shower, like these words just coming in, so I had to jump out and type quickly, at least the skeleton of it, so I can then fill it in later. But this is how it started, and it's been kind of amazing journey ever since, really, on all levels, because it just made me stronger, braver person, more resilient. I don't take things as personally anymore. I am more able to resolve conflicts or more easily. I get on with people, with strangers, as well as with friends. I have really good, safe relationships, which I've seen the evidence of when, I found myself being pregnant and abandoned and single and, homeless. And people just gathered around me, mostly women, but some men too, but they created this bubble and kept me so safe and taken care of and looked after, and they're still doing this. That is just such a wonderful feeling, and I know this would not be possible if I didn't go through the change a few years ago, and became more open and more inviting for people to enter my world and make them feel safe with me, because there were so many different points of catharsis since then, that I'm becoming less than judgmental. I'm becoming more kinder, more compassionate, and it's been really interesting journey. And apart from my little chapter, I really recommend any book from Brené Brown. Perhaps start with Daring Greatly, but she's just amazing woman, and the books are so easy to read and so life-changing. If you just want to kind of check her out, and she's got TED Talks and lots of YouTube videos. There's a lot with her. She's got an Instagram account where she shares lots of her stuff. The books are just amazing. If you're not into reading, you can get it on audiobook as well. She reads it herself, and she's got a very engaging way of speaking and really nice voice, so it's very pleasant whether you read it or listen to it. So I can't recommend it enough. Brené Brown is just amazing. So yeah, let me know about your experience with vulnerability. What do you think what's your perception of the word actually? How, you know, how you view vulnerability? Is it something you're comfortable with or would like to be comfortable with? Or do you consider it a weakness? You know, really interesting point of view, because I know it's still kind of a subject that's it can be talked about from so many different angles. So I'd be interested to see your angle. All right, I'll see you next week.